Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. Alright, let's address the elephant in the room. I know it's not Halloween. Alright, that's long past. But when it came to my Halloween videos, I ran out of time and I couldn't upload everything I wanted to. So that's why I'm uploading them past Halloween. But if you stop and look at it like this, at some point in time, it's gonna be Halloween time again, October. So somebody eventually will stumble upon my videos and watch it around Halloween time. So yeah, and I'm here today to talk to you about Resident Evil Extinction. This came out in 2007, and I was highly anticipating this movie after the end of the second. You know, I was kind of like, like Alice is now controlled by Umbrella. She's with like Carlos, Jill, Angela, and LJ. You know, like what's gonna go on? Is it gonna be this big government conspiracy? What about the zombies? You know, what are we gonna get? And it's like, oh, okay, so the world is dead and years have passed since the second movie and Angela and Jill are nowhere to be found. Well, slap me in the face, why don't you, and take my money. It's like, that's not what I was expecting and everything. And I was really shocked at how different like this movie was. It was set in like Death Valley, the desert and everything. It was filmed primarily in the like daytime. This was so different from like the other two movies. I didn't know what the heck was going on. I'm all like, they nuked Raccoon City. How is the affection still going on? That don't make any freaking sense. The nuke should have like taken care of like everything. And it's kind of like, okay, so what exactly is going on with the virus? The virus was down below. Then the infected people who are zombies got out, went to the city, started biting people. And then one bit another and so on and so on. And, you know, there was a couple of liquors and everything. And they was biting people and eating people. So all those people died for nothing in Raccoon City. And I mean, and you gotta remember, I'm an outsider looking in. I'm not familiar with the games, but I have watched the CGI movies later on. And it's pretty much, you know, after the whole Raccoon City destruction type thing with the zombies, that's kind of just it. And then they go into the whole government conspiracy with monsters and all this other stuff and trying to take down Umbrella Corporation. So I assume this movie would be something similar to that. But once again, how did it affect the infection like keep spreading? I remember the Red Queen said like, you know, the virus changes from like airborne transmission to like liquid to gas, like all kind of stuff. I'm like, okay, but that was down below. All that should have dissipated by now. Because remember the task force team that went down there, they was able to breathe the oxygen without having gas mask on. And none of them got infected just by breathing the air. It's only the people that are infected. So once again, how the heck did the infection spread throughout the entire world, killing it? That's never really explained. And so it took a couple of days just for America to go down, but it took months just for like the whole entire world to go down. And so because of that, of course, Mother Nature took over. And like, you know, sand and grass and dirt and all that consumed what was like streets and buildings and all this other mess, and everything just looks like a desert. And so I'm just kind of like, no government conspiracy, no Alice superpowers. Oh wait, there is, but just not the way you think it would be. And so like, even though I do like this movie, and I do like this movie as a trilogy, originally this was supposed to be a trilogy until it kept making more money and they made 3 more movies. This would have been my end game. Like, all right, fine. Years have passed by. Like, you know, the world is dead. There are still zombies. There are like scattered humans, but not that many. Probably about anywhere between 10 to 20% of human life is probably about like in every state, probably in every part of the country. It turns out that Umbrella has went underground. There's an American facility that Dr. Isaac works at, and there's one in Tokyo, Japan, where like a couple of other people work at. And so then I'm thinking, okay, so why isn't Umbrella pushing out the antivirus? Like, what the heck happened to that? They had plenty of that crap in their facilities. Once this outbreak started, why didn't they just put a couple of antiviruses, vials, and like dart guns and just go at it? Like, there is no logic in terms of how the virus spread and how it could not be contained in this movie. Now, once again, I do like this movie because of like the style of it, but it's not very logical. Like, seriously, they have the antivirus. Why didn't they do anything with that? And then it's kind of like, okay, so many years has passed, but Umbrella is more concerned with upgrading its hollow technology and its other like mechanical technology and not the virus. And as the movie series progresses, they keep advancing their technology, but not their viral stuff. That don't make no sense. Not to mention, what I don't understand is like, okay, it's been elaborated by like, you know, Alice and everything that the whole world became consumed, you know, it died, it withered, and like humans keep on the run. They don't stay on one place too long because the dead people will start to gather and start trying to eat them. So they constantly keep on the move. So it's kind of like, okay, but what about gas? That's one big thing about The Walking Dead people keep bringing up. But then they do explain how like small cities are tapped out. They don't go to major cities because there's too many zombies. Well, here's the thing. Yeah, these zombies are gonna roam around, but they still need to eat something. And so like, when they don't get no food in their body, they're a lot slower than what they normally are. The consistency of the speed of these zombies don't make no sense no more. Because in the past, they was kind of slow, kind of fast when it first started in the first movie. In the second movie, it's stated that they're slow, but we see them move a little bit at a little bit speed. Here, we see a bunch of them moving very, very, very slow until they start seeing people, and then they start acting really fast for some bizarre reason. Then there are the hybrids that's been infused with Alice blood, and those are like super fast. But only those are in a certain area of like America. And so what I'm saying is like, how come all the humans that were still human didn't band together and just kill as many zombies as they could? Did they think about that? They didn't, because there are plenty of bullets and guns in this movie. So what happened to the military and the cops and like, you know, the bazookas and the guns and the assault rifles and the explosions and the grenades and the nukes? What happened to all of those? And if you don't use those, why not just use a car and start running them over? And it's like, there's no logic in this movie. So what little humans are left, they just roam the countryside. And it's kind of like, well, when you use up all the resources and we see that the gas is tapped out, we see there's little food, we see there's no water. So, and we see there's barely any shelter because it's been overrun by foliage and stuff. What are these people thinking? They just like are so stupid in this universe. And not only that, but remember the Umbrella Corporation had a cover up in the second movie, but at some point in time, somebody's going to realize, yo, Umbrella is behind all this. So why didn't they take it to Umbrella? Also, why didn't Umbrella, instead of a couple of men hiding down below in like the sewers and stuff, and underground in like new high facilities, why in the world ain't they trying to fix? Well, they are trying to fix it. They're trying to come up with a supposed cure, but they have the cure. And so Dr. Isaac is trying to domesticate these like zombies and turn them into weapons. Why? Yes, that is part of the Resident Evil games. They want to weaponize like the T virus and the other viruses and make them into like bioweapons. But who the heck are you going to use these weapons against? The Earth population is down to about 1,000 or so, or a couple of hundred. Who the heck are you going to go to war with and use these bioweapons for? This movie logically makes no sense. Wait, maybe I don't like this movie. Then the thing that Dr. Isaac does at the end of the movie, once again, makes no sense. And his whole motivation in this movie makes no sense. It made sense when there was tons of people, but now he makes no sense. And there's no logical sense. What also doesn't make no sense is Alice in this movie. So she was controlled by Umbrella and she was used as a weapon. We don't get to see none of that cool stuff happen because it happened off screen. And so at some point in time, she left the group and just goes on her own because they're constantly tracking her. Okay, but what about her powers? She doesn't use her powers because they'll be able to detect her, but her powers come out when she sleeps. And not only does her powers come out when they're asleep, but when she does start to use her powers, apparently it weakens her to the point where she passes out, giving her a vulnerability. Problem with that is that at the end of the second movie, when she was dazed and confused and woke up, she could use her powers really good without passing out. And she was never even taught how to use her powers. She just knows how to use them, which never made no sense. So if she can use them without passing out in the second movie, why is this happening now? And why does it does not happen in the fourth movie when she starts using her powers? Also, years have passed by, so this sleepy effect should have worn off by now, and she should be pretty good at using her powers and not getting nosebleeds and stuff. There is no logic in this movie and stuff. Like none whatsoever. And not only that, but why hasn't she used her amazing powers and took out the Umbrella Corporation and tried to expose them? This movie makes no logical sense. And then she doesn't do that until the end of the movie. And it's like, well, what the heck took you all them years to do? And it's never ever explained. Now, Jill is nowhere to be found in this movie, and she is not explained, and neither is Angela. Jill was supposed to show up in this movie, but the actress went to go do some other movie, Iagar or something like that. I feel like that was a CGI movie or something. I don't know because I haven't looked. Or it's some kind of fantasy movie or something like that. But she went to go do that. And as for the Angela actress, well, for whatever reason, they just retconned her out of the entire movie. Franchise, that is. The reason why the T-virus got created was because of her and her father. This gets retconned in the very 6th movie. And it's just like she doesn't exist whatsoever. There's even a tie-in novel that explains that Alice killed Angela under Umbrella's instructions, and that was snapped her out of the mind control and why she went her separate way. But this is completely retcon and is not canon because they give Alice a brand new name, but when we find out what her real name is in the 6th movie. So that novelization does not matter anymore. It's like the first 3 movies just no longer matter once the 4th movie came around. But the 4th movie takes up events that happen in the 3rd movie. This series makes no sense whatsoever. And like I said before, I am the outsider coming in. There are 2 different types of Resident Evil fans. Fans of the game, fans of the movies. Because I never saw the games, I was a fan of the movies. Until the movies started to not make no sense. Which is why I hate 4, 5, and 6 of the live action movies. Then when I started watching the CGI movies, I started to get a better understanding of the games. Speaking of which, Leon was supposed to appear in this movie played by Jason Ackles, but for whatever reason, that just never happened. Also, Chris was supposed to show up in this movie, but that was just a rumor. He does show up in the fourth. Leon shows up in the fifth, but then disappears by the sixth, which is never explained. There are a bunch of characters that do appear in this movie, new characters, but all of them are made up except for that of Albert Whisker and that of Claire Redfield. Now, the other characters that appear, Nurse Betty, the cowboy dude, the dude who shakes the cans and knows what's in there, the dude on the radio, I think I already said the cowboy, and Kmart. Kmart. She named herself that because she was found in the Kmart. And we don't know her real name. I assume with the name Kmart, oh, that must be from the video games, right? Right? Nope. She's completely made up in the movie. And she's just there to be a teenage girl. And like, you know, scream and everything like that. Basically, she disappears into the fourth movie, in the ending of the fourth movie, and then she's never shown again. But then let's get to Claire, since Claire is in this movie. By this time, by the second movie or so, fans started getting pissed at the first, because they didn't like what Paul did when making these movies. And so, like, he started incorporating characters from the games in every movie. But they don't have the personalities that they do from the games, so that pisses a lot of fans off. Claire, played by Ali Lartner. She is in this movie, and she plays a headstrong leader who has a convoy of survivors. Now, I like Claire in this movie. She's really strong. She's really brave. She's very militant. She doesn't take no bull crap. And she's like stone cold and everything. But apparently, after watching the CGI movie, I now learned that Claire is nothing like that. She's bubbly and like friendly and everything. This is a complete 180 from her character. However, I can give it the excuse because of the simple fact years have passed by. She has seen and been through a lot. So therefore, she is this grumpy person until you get to that of the fourth movie, and somehow she is brainwashed with a scare type thing on her chest from the games. And when she's rescued, she meets her brother. I can't really remember what her personality is like in the fourth movie, but then all of a sudden she disappears in the fifth and she shows back up in the sixth just randomly as can be. And her personality seems completely different. She's just there, like literally. Then there is Albert Whisker. I don't know nothing about him from the games. I've never seen him in the CGI movies, but apparently he is a bad dude. Basically, he is like what Dr. Isaacs is, this mad scientist of a man who wants to use the bioweapons for like nefarious type things, you know? And he's injected himself with like, you know, part of like, you know, the virus strain to have enhanced powers and red eyes and stuff like that, right? And so, like, I think he stole, like, the virus from, like, the original creator or something like that. And so here, he is nothing like that. Here, he's just kind of like a businessman with the suit, and he doesn't have his classic hairstyle, but he just wears sunglasses for whatever reason. And he bosses everybody around. He's like the head, living in Tokyo underground. Him and Dr. Isaacs can't get along. He is later recast in the fourth movie, and now not only does he look like his video game counterpart, but he acts like his video game counterpart. And in fact, there's a fight scene that's taken directly from the game, shot by shot. And so this made fans a whole lot happier until you get to the fifth movie and he kind of turns into, I don't know if he's a bad guy or a good guy or a captured guy. I really can't remember. But then there's the sixth movie. I think he's in the sixth movie, and I still don't remember what his personality is like, because when it comes to fifth and sixth movie, I've only watched those once and I'll never watch them again. And as for the fourth, I watched twice. The first time I hated the movies, I'm like, okay, let me watch it again to see if I still hate it. Well, I still hated it a second time. Carlos and LJ show up from the second movie, but Carlos is from the video games, but he's the wrong race. And LJ shows back up. Now, LJ is confusing because I read in an interview that Mike's character was indeed supposed to survive, and he was supposed to help out Alice in like the fourth movie. But this did not happen because he gets bit very early on in the movie. Now, LJ is a completely different character in this movie. The events of what happened from the second movie to the third have really taken a toll on him. He's no longer that lovable, funny guy that he was in the second movie. He's no longer cracking jokes, really, like non-stop. He's more serious, and like he does crack one joke, but it just doesn't seem funny. Like he has lost who he was. Then when they try to like sleep in a hotel, he ends up getting bit. And I am very disappointed in LJ throughout the entire movie. I'll get to Carlos a little bit later. I am disappointed in LJ because of the simple fact he gets bit and he never tells nobody, putting everybody's life in danger. Now, they are in a convoy of about 30 people. There are a few adults, but the majority of them are like teens and kids, putting all their lives in danger. He never once even tries to sacrifice himself to save the other group. And he survives for about a day and a half until he turns. And as he's starting to turn, he's turning gray. And one dude literally asks him, "Are you okay?" He's all like, "Oh man, it's just these pork and beans and everything." And so he has a love interest named Nurse Betty, played by Ashanti, a singer who cannot act, or at least she couldn't in this movie. I don't know how her acting is now, but she can't act. I hate when singers join movies and try to act. It almost never works out. Snoop Dogg was supposed to be LJ in the second movie, but Mike Epps took the spot instead. Thank God, because Snoop can't act, but Mike Epps can. And so I'm very, very disappointed in LJ because it's bad enough he's the only like black male character other than that security guard who really doesn't do much, but he has to be the shady person who won't tell nobody he's bit. And so like when a bunch of crows that are infected, which by the way, when an animal gets infected, it's supposed to turn into a monster like the dogs. But the crows do not. Their eyes just look infected. They're supposed to be these monstrous looking things like in the video game, but they don't do this here. But the crows swoop down and they try to peck and kill everybody. As this is going on, he is not even trying to sacrifice himself to save Betty. Betty got the kids out the bus and sacrificed herself to save those kids, and all he can do is try to hide with everybody else and be like, "Betty," and it's just kind of like, dude, man yourself up. Then when they go to Vegas to get some gas, once again he cowers in a car with that of Kmart as he is now turning. So he turns and she has to like, you know, kill him and everything, but she's unable to. So Carlos tries to save her and he gets bit by LJ. And it's just like, dude, why did they write LJ like this? I get they have to have a character who's kind of like that, but why him and why the man of color? And Mike Epps said, like, you know, in an interview at one point that, you know, Paul Anderson said that, like, you know, black people die in these movies, right? And he's like, I kind of like you, Mike. And everything. I'm just kind of like, dude, like, I don't get that. Because here's the thing that really pisses me off about this whole world ending thing. With the world ending, there's only about, 4 black people that are still alive. 3 Latinos, even though the one Latino dude is played by, like, you know, is Islamic dude. And they never address that. And everybody, and there's 1 Asian dude that survives. Oh no, 2 Asians that survive. No, yeah, there's 2 Asians that survive. And everybody else who survives the apocalypse is white. I'm just kind of like, man, why Hollywood? Why? And so I'm really pissed at LJ and his actions in this movie. But then there is Carlos. Carlos, who's supposed to be Latino, but played by an Islamic man, so I don't know what race he's really supposed to be in the movie because Hollywood is Hollywood. And so, like, he's pretty cool in this movie. He's Claire's right-hand man. You think he would be the one leading the charge after the second movie and knowing a lot that's going on, but no, he's her commanding officer. So he's been demoted, and not only has he been demoted, but it is in fact that yes, he is Alice's like love interest. But it's never really that apparent. And it wasn't really all that apparent in the second other than her giving him the look, which she got over Matt very quickly. But yeah, so like he's there, he's helped keeping everybody safe until he gets bit. And then when he gets bit towards the end of the movie, he doesn't tell nobody he's bit by LJ until he starts coughing and throwing up. And Alice is all like, "Oh, they have the antivirus," and then he's all like, "Nah, man, it's like it's too late for me." So he sacrifices himself to get everybody in there to get to the helicopter. And so he blows himself up in a very heroic way, but he's still shady for like not telling everybody he got bit in the third climax and stuff. So it's kind of like, man, why are they killing off all the people of color in this movie? 2 black folks died, no, 3 black folks died in this movie, and then Carlos, whatever race he is. And then there's like 1 black dude left. No, there's 2 black dudes left. 1 in Tokyo and 1 wherever they find Leon, not Leon, but the other guy from like the 4th movie and stuff. And so it's just like, you know, I don't get that, man. I don't get what they're doing to these characters. But basically, I'll get to Alice a little bit last. Let me get to the plot of the actual movie. Years have passed by, world is dead, and like I said before, everybody's just living out in like, you know, the open and in the desert and all this other stuff. Claire has a convoy of about 30 folks, and she tries to keep them safe. Only about 5 of them, they really have personalities because they're main characters, but we don't know too much about them other than what they do. There's a dude who can tell what's inside a can just by shaking it. There's a cowboy who's just a cowboy. And then there's some British guy who's always on the radio looking for help. And then there's Nurse Betty, and that's about it. Oh, and Kmart and stuff. All the other survivors we don't get to know, so we feel sorry for them. But you don't really feel sorry for them because we don't really get to know much about them. They're just extras and stuff. Umbrella wants to domesticate that of, like, you know, the infected. Well, at least Dr. Isaac does. While the other people in Umbrella, they want like a cure for all this because they can't keep living underground because like they are running out of food. And so like, but everybody in the world is basically a zombie now. And so Dr. Isaac is just an idiot throughout the entire movie wanting to make bioweapons. And so he has been running simulators with Alice clones and trying to see how exactly her body adapted to that of the T-virus and all her military skills. One criticism Mila gets is how does her character know martial arts in the beginning of the first movie? And well, people seem to be forgetting that she's a security officer for Umbrella. This is how she knows that. But people think, oh, she has magical powers and now she knows martial arts. No, she was security. Anyway, so every clone ends up dying because they just aren't as smart as Alice is to escape whatever like traps and booby traps that they have. So he throws all the clone bodies in a pit. They also have her psychic powers somehow. And so like this triggers her and triggers her powers. And so when she meets up with the group, she was in like a gas station or something like that. And after she got attacked by some hillbillies and stuff, the world is coming to an end and the hillbillies want to have like gladiator games with people and infected dogs. Ah, the hillbillies. And so she finds a book that says Alaska is safe. There's no infection there. So she starts listening on the radio trying to help folks. It's weird. She doesn't want to be around nobody, but yet she's helping people. That don't make no sense. And so like, she meets up with Carlos and them and everything, and she saves them from the crows using her power. She passes out. Claire is all like, I'm thankful for what you're doing, but you need to get up out of here because you're freaking people out. Claire, this woman has superpowers and she just saved your group. Don't you think it would be beneficial to keep her? Claire does not seem to agree. She tells them about Alaska. Claire's all like, look, Alaska's too far. We ain't got the gas. And it's a pipe dream. And Carla's all like, maybe that's what everybody needs to get their morale up. So they go to Vegas because that's the only place they can get gas because all the small towns are tapped out. While in Vegas, everything has been taken over by the sand. And so Dr. Isaacs, he has a bunch of super zombies that can move at super strength and speed and all this other stuff. At first, he did domesticate them because they had reasoning skills until they get agitated and turn back into savages and everything. He is looking for Alice with the help of the White Queen, the new AI system that is the sister to the Red Queen, but still with a British voice played by an American actress. And so I think she was on Last Man Standing. And so they find Alice and everything, but Umbrella does not want her until they know for like sure it's her, but they only have 60% verification. So Dr. Isaac fakes the audio, sends his troops on over there, and he leaves a shipping cargo box full of super infected zombies. The box opens and boom, like the survivors get attacked, they get killed and all this other stuff. There's only about 15 left or so, if that. And so they're able to, like, you know, shut Alice down because she's still in their system, which I don't understand how come they could never do that before. But with her psychic power, she's able to disable the satellite and regain her consciousness and start killing a bunch of zombies, where Dr. Isaac gets bit by a super zombie. So he's all like, give me the antivirus. But by this time, they got him on house arrest back in the facility in America. His second in command is very shocked at what Dr. Isaacs is doing. The antivirus is green. The T-virus is blue. This new vial they have look bluish green. He's been, you know, changing it up with Alice's blood. So the second in command's all like, why have you taken this much, like, I don't even know if he's taking antivirus or a virus or the mixture of both, but he's taking them both. And he's all like, he increased the strength of like the virus with Alice's blood, so he needs to increase as many doses as he can with, I guess, the antivirus or something like that. So his second in command thinks he's crazy and shoots him. But Dr. Isaac has something else in mind. He wants to evolve. He wants to turn monstrous. He wants to turn into the tyrant. And he does, and he kills all the people there. Why? He's all like, he is the evolution of life. But he's going to live his life now as a monster. Why? He's not going to be able to touch like equipment because his hands are different. He's a monster. What's he gonna do? Like, kill all the people as all the humans turn into zombies? And who's he gonna lead? The zombies don't have no motor skills or nothing. What was the point in him turning himself into a monster thinking he is the evolution and crap? This is when Alice and everything, like, you know, and the team, like, you know, bust through like the facility. They hop in the helicopter to go to Alaska. And she doesn't go. She stays behind because she wants to fight off, like, you know, and kill as many Umbrella people as she can. Why didn't she do that years ago? And then this is what really pisses me off. The White Queen tells her that her blood is the key to bringing back humanity, and that everything in the lab they need to regain humanity and revert the zombies back to humans. And so instead of doing that, they have to get rid of the tyrant first. So Alice gets rid of the tyrant, but she discovers all her clones and she's pissed off. She frees one. Now, the little thing that they're in is really cool. It's like a bubble of like water, with an electromagnetic field around it. Apparently, they shot everything in the exterior in one location, and they shot Mila underwater. So they get the hair movement, stuff like that. Then they CGI the water bubble. Apparently, the creator said this technology does exist. There are things with electromagnetic fields that can suspend things in air. So they based this off of real technology and everything. Boy, if only we knew what these scientists and military people are doing. I'm telling you, the internet comes to mind and computers. So she fights off the tyrant and she almost dies, but the clone activates the laser grid from the first movie and kills him. Alice decides to do something really stupid that I still hate to this day. In Tokyo, the umbrella people are like, okay, the American facility, we haven't heard from them in 15 hours. They're gone. They must be dead. So they're gonna double the efforts to try to regain humanity on their own. Well, Alice contacts them and is all like, y'all are not gonna get away with this, and like, I'm gonna send my army to come and take you all out. And this is what happens in the fourth movie, which I still think is the dumbest thing in the world. She had the ability to save mankind, but instead she went on a Matrix fight style and tried to take out Umbrella. Now, when it comes to Alice and everything, first things first, Mila, thank God, has regained some of her weight back from that of the first movie. She was way too skinny in the second movie, and it just didn't seem that believable she's that strong. But she's kind of like half and half. She's half of what she looked like in the first and in the second. Thank God. Because they're out in the desert. Oh, by the way, this movie has a Mad Max road warrior type feel to it. Anyway, so because the director said, you know, they've done night so many times, so let's do the daytime and show how scary it is. Well, it's not really scary when you're out in the desert. It's more scary when you're out in a big city and zombies are running around in the daytime like The Walking Dead. Anyway, Mila has a nice tan this movie going around. She's a nice golden bronze kind of color. But something's weird. She has a glowy effect to her in this movie. I don't know if it's because of the tan. I don't know because they applied way too much makeup on her, but it looks like they kind of digitally enhanced her to make her glow kind of. I don't know. I can't find no evidence of this, but I just know she has a glowy tan and she looks nice. She has a weird mullet hairstyle that once again, Mila has created her outfits for these movies. She is a great designer. They remodified the red and black dress from the first movie because it was awkward to get in and out and move around in it. So they made it easier for the Mila clones to do what they had to do, or I should say Alice clones. Now, I still don't understand Alice's motivations in this movie, but one thing that she does is that she doesn't really fight with a gun no more. Now she fights with these two-bladed daggers. And it's weird knowing that there's tons of zombies. Wouldn't you want a gun to take them out really fast? Also, people are stupid in this movie. They know they're supposed to shoot zombies in the head. Where do they shoot them? Every place else. It's like they learned nothing from all these years. Now, this movie is, well, actually, the first movie is what started, I like to call Slow-Mo Al. What is Slow-Mo Al? It's basically when Alice fights in slow motion. They did it in the first movie when she kicked that one dog. They didn't really do it in the second all that much, except for when she busts through, like, you know, the window of the church. But in this third movie, Slow-Mo Al is in full effect. But it's different than the other movies. Basically, everything else is moving in real time, and she's the only one moving in slow motion. And that is how all her action scenes are, which is really odd, but kind of cool. You gotta remember the Matrix was still doing their things a while back, so everybody was trying to copy them. But by the time you get into that of the fourth movie, Slow-Mo Al takes full effect, not just for her, but the atmosphere around her. Basically, this is when Paul came back to direct the last three movies, and every action scene with that of Alice, or every action scene period, is in slow motion. I do not know why. And it's very slow too. And it's a nice visual effect. But look, man, we're moving past the Matrix. You know what I'm saying? And this is when the movie started getting 3D and everything. This is when the movie started to make really no sense. Every ending in the movie gets retconned because they're kind of like, crap, well, what do we do now? So in the fourth movie, her clones take out a bunch of like umbrella people until Whisker comes in and injects the real Alice with that of an antivirus type thing that takes away her superpowers. Now all her clones are dead because they got blown up in an explosion. There was no point in creating her clones if they weren't going to do anything interesting with them. Then the whole Alaska thing turns out to be false. Yes, Alaska is still like has snow and grass. Don't know how because the world is supposed to be dead. But it's not a safe haven. Alaska, I believe, is the name of a submarine which Umbrella owns, and they have captured people. Why? Don't know, and the world is dead. This is where she meets Claire, a brainwashed Claire, and her brother Chris, who was supposed to be dead by the second movie. And so then we learn that Alice still does not have her memories. And so she's just living her life as she is, and she has a hobby of collecting coins. This is alluded to in the third movie when she stumbles upon like a jar full of coins. And it's just her hobby of collecting them. She doesn't use bullets no more for some bizarre reason in the fourth movie. Now she puts a bunch of coins in guns and shoots the coins out. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Then we get to the fifth movie. In the fifth movie, she is captured. And the Red Queen has taken over. Because she's now been booted and has a new form. A more human looking form like that of the White Queen. For some reason, Umbrella seems to be about like enhancing their tech. Anyways, so like the Red Queen is taking over. They need Alice to stop her. And I guess free like Whisker or something like crap like that. I don't know. So every time we see Alice, she's in a holographic simulation. And now we have people from the past movies cloned and are either bad guys, nice guys, whatever. They're still cloning Alice. And one of the clones had a deaf daughter. So the real Alice is trying to take care of her. We see Rain from the first movie. There's two different versions. There is an evil version and a good version. Michelle Rodriguez wanted to do something different instead of getting typecast as like a bad person or a tough person like she normally is. And that's something she likes, being the tough person. We see Carlos, and that's really about it. Oh, and Jill is now back after coming back at the end of the fourth movie with a brand new outfit and hairstyle and being controlled by Umbrella with no explanation. And there's still no Angela. Anyways, Ada Wong shows up, Leon shows up, and a couple of other people from the video game. I will say, at least they cast people who look exactly like the video game. My mind is blown, but they don't act like that. And I was really happy to see Leon, because by this time, the CGI movies were out, and I was a huge fan of Leon, but the live action one sucks. Anyways. After Whisker is like saved, he's living in the White House. How did they go from Japan to the White House? Heck if I know. But anyway, he's there and he gives Alice back her powers. And he tells her, yo, we need your help. We kind of got ourselves in a little pickle. There are monsters everywhere now, and they're really huge. So it's like this big monster kaiju fight type thing with humans. And it's the last hope for humanity. Now we get into the 6 movies. There's no monster fight. Why? Because that happened off screen and the only person alive is Alice. So some of the people who lived in the 5th movie are now dead, supposedly. We meet a bunch of new people. The black dude from the 4th movie shows back up after missing for a long time. And then we get every retcon there is. The virus was created by Dr. Marcus. He did that because his daughter had progeria. It causes you to age rampantly and everything and make you look old when you're young. Turns out the Alice that we know is really just a clone. It has been a clone since the 1st movie. The real Alicia is the old lady that looks like Alice. There's a new Red Queen that's played by Ever Anderson, the daughter of the real Mila and Paul. Then it turns out Dr. Isaacs from the 2nd and the 3rd movie was really a clone. And the real one has been living underground this entire time in hibernation. He's still just as evil can be. Claire shows up. Ruby Rose, who can't act, is in this movie. And Alice pretty much like gives the antivirus and spreads it around the world. I think she busts like a vial and the antivirus just spread. If they could have done that all along, why not? The whole world looks dead. And Alice just like rides off until like the dark sunset or whatever. And the movie franchise is over. And I hate the last 3 movies. Everything that mattered in the first 3 just does not matter in 4, 5, and 6. Everything is retcon. They completely took out Angela and everything. Characters appeared only to disappear in the next movie. It makes no freaking sense. And then it turns out this woman who we've been riding along with since the first movie isn't even real. So everything that happened to her in the first movie with her losing her memory and all this, you know, security, this and that, and help try to bring the place down, it does not matter. They couldn't even keep the continuity to their own movies. And this is why I hate the last 3. But they made a buttload of money. Like Paul Anderson has literally made over $1 billion with a B with all the movies and stuff. These movies always make like over 100 million past how much it ever took to make. And he makes these movies cheap, about 40 or 70 million dollars and stuff. It is the most successful video game franchise there is, but the movies are not that good. They just don't make no sense, and they really have nothing to do with the video games. They just take little things here and there from the video games and shove it in their movies. The problem is, Paul tried to have his cake and eat it too. He tried to do his own thing with the first movie, but fans got pissed. So then he tried to have a mashup of his own style and continuity with that of the video games. And both could not blend well together. They was just angering the 2 different fandoms that these movies have. The video game ones and just the movie ones and stuff. Now wasn't that spooky? Alright, well I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.